Okay, we're live. I had to completely disconnect and reboot it again. Okay, this is our public hearing on the comments from the public hearing.
You mean workshop, right?
Did I say meeting? I apologize. It is a workshop. Okay, and this is on from December 4th, our public hearing from December 4th. On proposed wind law changes. Comments we have, you all should have received the copies. I'm sorry that I did not get them to you sooner. That's all on me. Lynn, if you want to come on down and take a look at these hard copies with me, you're more than welcome.
I have the set. I can bring it here if you want me to take another set. Let's see.
What? It doesn't make any difference to me, but it's it.
Here. No. She was talking about another set.
Oh,
Now, the one thing I tried stressing over and over and over again at the public hearing was that the only thing that because it has to do with proposed wind law changes, that we wanted substantive comments pertaining to the changes that we had listed, not opinions of how people felt about wind turbines or specific companies like Apex and Heritage. It had to do with the proposed modifications or changes to our existing wind law. So the majority of the comments that you have received were just that, where people were just telling us how they felt about them, pros and cons. We got everything from cards that were sent to us to letters, but it was just, and I saw where someone said something about redacted files, and there were none of these that were redacted. I highlighted some spots for us to look at, or where they had pertained to the wind law. A couple of them I wish I hadn't have highlighted because they really didn't pertain to wind law changes. So we have all the different letters. You've got pros, cons, and everything else in here. We have quite a few. I mean, the pile I have here, just the letters alone are just about an inch thick. And then we've got the cards, which are about another inch thick.
Sean,
Yes, sir.
you were saying redacted, some of the names were crossed or blanked out. Now,
No, okay.
in reading through this, some of those names are Xed out, but then they're typed in underneath. Did you put those or have those?
I had Lee do that on purpose because I didn't want anybody's signature
Okay.
put out there to the public. I did not want their signature. I didn't think that was appropriate, but their names, yes. Because that was one thing we requested, was their names and their address. That's a different story. I just didn't want anybody's signature out there.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yes, no, I appreciate that, Tom.
Got knocked out and then were printed in or typed out.
Right.
The highlights, like this one, you just highlighted certain parts of it, right?
Yes. Yeah, I went through real quick, just trying to find some spots where it was pertaining to wind law changes, and I highlighted them. A couple of them, I guess I got a little overzealous.
I did have, when I went through, I compared it to, as I went through to the emails and comments that we had received prior to. And I didn't know, I did notice that there were a couple missing. Daryl Sanford's email that he had sent, and I know that at the meeting you had shared that that wasn't necessarily what you were looking for, but it was still intended for the public hearing. And Judy Cox letter, I know that Dick Cox was listed, but she wasn't listed. And then, I didn't know if we were including things from the public hearing, before the public hearing, the one that was canceled back in September. Because Mary Jo Kingston and also Deanna, Tronic, I'm not sure if I pronounced her name right or wrong, was not included. And then also, all the comments from the YouTube, version was also not in there.
Now, I know everything from the YouTube. Lee did a complete copy of that and put it in. I'm looking through what I have here right now, but I know Lee did that and sent it out to all of us. But I do not, honestly, I don't see it in this list. When it comes to, I remember the Coxes, there was a form letter that was sent out, and both of them had filled out the form, and I remembered seeing that as well.
It was two separate emails, but it was the same. So I see Richard Cox is listed, and it is that form letter, but Judy wasn't listed. And then also like Mary Jo Kingston's email, from September 28th wasn't included.
And these were emails?
Yeah, Judy's email was the same. It came through on mine as like, the first one was from Judy and the second one, was from Richard. And then for Mary Jo, that was an email. But again, that was back prior to the first public hearing that got canceled, the September one. So that was September 28th. And then Diana was an email from October 1st. That one I don't think went to you, but I forwarded it to you because that was one that I had mentioned at a previous town board meeting. Along with the Mary Jo one, because those were sent. And then, sorry, hold on, let me go back to my, yeah, and I went through all of my emails. I didn't see anything with the public hearing, like the YouTube comments.
Lee, I know you're sitting back there listening. I don't see it here. Do you have those copies of from the YouTube? I don't see them in this file. I do not see them in here at all. And I know she copied them and shared them with me, and I saw them as well on the YouTube. Okay, I'm going back through here. Okay, Lee's gonna be bringing them up shortly here.
sending it now.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay. We got the copies right here right now. She's sending, Carrie, you'll be getting it shortly. She's gonna send it to you electronically as well.
Thank you.
Those are the ones from the meeting, public hearing. Let's see. You said Cox sent a, email?
It's Judy is not on the, Judy sent the, hold on. Let me pull up the email.
Cause I'm looking down.
Okay, so on December 4th, it came from the same email, but one is signed, one says, let the people decide, have a referendum, Judy Cox. And that's the first email. And then there's a second email that says, please read attached. And it says, Richard Cox. But you know what, I think I realize what's going on. Nope, never mind. I'm not sure. I'm just checking to see if your email is right on both of them.
I just found Richard Cox, and it was scanned. It was sent to me with copies to all of the rest of you. Let me see what it looks like.
So Judy didn't include your name, that's why, but,
Okay,
but Richard's included it twice. So I'm gonna forward it to you so you have it.
yeah, this is that
It was sent on
form.
December 4th, so I'll go ahead and.
Oh, I remember this one with Richard. I do have, that should be in here.
So Richard is, but, Judy is not. And it's not, we just need to add her name.
Okay, we'll just make a copy of that and add it on here. Cause yeah, I remember, Richards, because he did not fill in on this form letter, he didn't fill anything in, but he did write a comment at the bottom saying, I would strongly suggest that town of Berry have a referendum for or against the wind turbines and let the people of the town of Berry decide. This includes all the people in Berry and landowners. So that was his comment at the bottom of this.
Okay. But, Judy is the one that wasn't included.
Yeah, and that, like you said, I don't have an email. She didn't put it into my email.
Right. So I just forwarded it to you.
Okay.
Do you have Daryl's and, Mary Jo and Deanna's, right?
I just saw Daryl. Now, theirs came email
Yeah, so I think.
or text, because I got some text.
I forwarded all of those to you, but I can go through and check,
I just found Daryl's right here.
so.
I thought sure I had ran these off, because I remember Daryl's has all those charts on it. In fact, it seems to me, I remember reading portion of some of Darrow's in the public hearing.
Yeah, right, so you did, and that one was, that one I forwarded it to you on December 4th. It was, the email, that they sent it to was esco@townofberry.com. But that one I sent to you that night.
I not sure I ran a copy of that off. Lee, if you can hear me, would you please take a look at the copier, the printer in the conference room? I just sent something there to be printed.
The one from Diana was, forwarded on October 1st,
October 1st?
or,
Okay.
yeah. And I just found, the one from Mary Jo, and I forwarded that to you as well.
Okay. Okay. What are you watching there, Tim?
I've got the list of the 40 comments.
Oh, okay. I just forwarded this to you as well, so you had it electronically.
I'll have to close this out.
No, that's okay. Could you take that down and so they can take a look at that, please? That's after you read it, though.
The thing of it is, John, what we're getting is we're getting a lot of duplication of people's names on different ones, which is kind of difficult to know if they sent one by themselves or not.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear Tom.
Said, Gary, what we're getting is, not sure if they're duplications, we're getting a lot of people's names listed on a petition that was sent in with information on it, and not sure if that is the one that you're referring to, or if there's a separate one that they did on their own.
Okay.
I'm looking at one on here for the December 4th meeting, and you're talking about Richard Cox, his name is listed on the bottom.
Right, I'm saying Judy is the one who is missing. So it was the same form, but I just was going through and just making sure that everything that I received was included in there. And I did notice that, Judy wasn't. And and it came through for me, like I was keeping track, it came through as a separate email. May I ask a question as we're going through these?
Yes, ma'am.
Does everyone feel like we as a town board, did everything that we could to make sure, and I know, Sean, you were mentioning earlier that you wanted substantive, like this, specific part of the wind ordinance or this, specific part of the wind ordinance. But my understanding of public hearings is to get a general feel for what the community would like. And I think that their opinions are valid, for or against. I think that I personally feel that, with COVID, with technology, with internet, with all the challenges that we have been facing, a lot of them completely outside of our control. But I feel like the community would have a good position, because I know that if I were not a town board member and not as involved in this process, that I would be frustrated about getting my thoughts and concerns or my positioning, whether for or against, heard. And I'm just wondering if anyone else feels that way, or if you feel that we've given that the community voice in a public hearing. We have done our due diligence. I know we've done stuff, and I know we've done it, okay. But I just, I know that if I were not on the board, I would be incredibly frustrated.
Well, I'm looking at from both sides, or trying to, and I think there could be frustration on both sides with this whole process.
I don't disagree. I mean, like, even like we get frustrated when we can't get something working, or I was frustrated with my phone not being able to hear. And technology is amazing, but it's also challenging. And I think too, like I was surprised at the number of handwritten messages that we got. I think that's really indicative of that, there's a large portion of our community that maybe didn't have the opportunity to share.
think, Carrie, I got all the ones you were talking about. I've added in here.
Thank you.
I probably messed everything up here on the Lee now. Okay, as I said, the public hearing was on the proposed changes to the wind law itself. Is there anything, anybody in looking these over, that they want to address at a specific area?
Indeed, we look at them, Sean, and see what they're saying. I know we got one in here. When these were put together in 07 and 08, the law itself, refers back to saying that they were looking at putting windmills in here. And that 13 years later, the term of technology has changed, so that, in order to keep up with it, you need to change your laws. I think that's what we're trying to do, is to change those so that we can keep up and going with what's going on with it.
Tom, isn't there a difference though when, we're talking about making it so that it's not just the average or not just what's currently in other locations, but we're talking about, by what we're proposing with our wind ordinance, we're talking about allowing what would be the tallest, there literally are none taller than 656 feet, and we're saying that we're okay with going up to 700 feet. So it's not even that it's technology does change, and I understand that, but this technology hasn't even been tested in the U.S.
But
at what we're proposing. Is that doing our due diligence for our community?
But I think to bring the technology up, how would you look at this if nobody came in here, Gary, and perceive it? We said, okay, we're gonna change our laws. And we got information from across the country and everything that the wind towers could go up to 900 foot. And other technology, noise and this. And so we look at it and try to bring it up. And we all of a sudden decide that we're gonna do it at, say, 700 or 800 feet, but nobody's applied here yet. We okay it now. Would you still feel as negative to that company coming in as we are now because of the height?
I'm confused as what you're saying. I'm saying the point that you were making was, and the point that you brought out that a resident made, is in regards to the change in technology, which I understand. But at the same time, what I'm saying is that change in technology is the main focal point of that change is changing our height from 500 to 700 feet. And when we're talking about making those changes, what I'm saying is that the technology is also there for 500-foot structures that's already established and tested. And yet we're saying to go to 700 feet. So I'm confused as to if the technology is currently available within the scope of what our wind ordinance already currently has established. Why are we why are we touting technology changes as a reason that we need to change our wind ordinance?
So we can invite more people and they'd be interested in looking at this area to put windmills in, basically. And they've
But
shown
the
that
question
they,
is that what the residents of the community want? Is that what our comprehensive plan recommends?
I'm saying that if we'd have done this before we had a windmill company in here, we could have put them all together and had that, and if we went to 700, even though they didn't have it, or the technology is here for that. I'm just wondering that people that are negative to this right now are figuring that the town of Berry is being told by Apex what to put into this one. And I don't feel that is what we're doing. We're trying to look at it for the people, majority. We put some things in this law that are over and more than the state requires.
I don't disagree with that, but what I'm saying is that we, if this company wasn't here, we did, so 2 years ago, in January, the town board voted unanimously not to make any changes. And in that vote actually stated that the health, safety, and welfare was protected of the community and the residents. So yes, even though this wind ordinance, the current written version was approved in 2008, 2 years ago, the town board voted that it was good the way that it was. And now what has changed? So the developer has pushed harder. The developer has done things to encourage the town board to review this. If it wasn't for the developer requesting that the town review and look at these and make these changes, would we be having these meetings?
We had voted on not changing our wind laws at that time. We did not want to be pushed into it right then. We wanted more time to review the wind laws, to do more research and do our due diligence and look at all the aspects. And that's why, yeah, that was a year ago. We've spent a lot of time. I know I've spent a lot of time over the past 3 years now, even before that, in looking this material over. But that's why we said at that time that we weren't going to change our wind laws right then. We weren't going to concentrate on it at that time because we wanted to do more research, get ourselves more educated on what is involved with wind turbines and what it does to the environment, to the community. It wasn't that we said that, nope, we're not changing our wind laws whatsoever. It was just at that time till we could do more studies.
Okay, so, I've got the minutes, and, let me see here. Whereas the town board feels that the town wind energy law continues to ensure that commercial wind power electricity generating facilities may be developed in a manner compatible with the general health, welfare, and safety of the residents of the town of Berry and protective of the town's environmental resources. Now, therefore, it is resolved that no changes shall be made to the current wind energy law. And that is the last portion of that resolution number 4 from January 2019 that was unanimously passed.
So in other words, you're saying, it's okay if we had a 500-foot one, but we can't have a 700-foot one.
I'm saying that I have a problem with saying that the sole reason for going from 500 feet to 700 feet is technology, when technology is available that would still enable a wind developer to come in at 500 feet, under 500 feet. You go to Sheldon, you go to like majority of there's only one industrial wind turbine, 656 feet, I believe is the, but it's under 660 feet, and it's in Texas, and it's a teaching one. And yet we are, as a town board, looking to change our wind law to accept 700 feet and saying that the reason that we're changing that, I guess that, Tom was saying, well, would we be considering this if there wasn't a developer here? Well, I think that the fact that it didn't go change from 2008 till now, or till the developer was here, no, I don't think that we would be worrying about it. I don't think that we would be having meetings or workshops or, for spending this time on it.
But what is the difference between 500 and 700 feet? What what's the objection? I mean, you're gonna have this fight, if you go to 500, are you gonna agree to go with 500 feet?
I couldn't hear what Lynn was saying. I'm sorry.
Are you going to agree that 500 feet is okay? If-
Yeah, if you, like, I would be fine with voting to leave the wind ordinance as is. I didn't come on the board and say, we need to go and change our wind ordinance. I've never been pushing for this. That's not me. I would be fine with a resolution on next Wednesday, voting to not change the wind ordinance.
Yeah, but originally there were supposed to be, I think it was 48 windmills, and we're down to 33 now because of the
Wait,
height.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Originally, we were 30 or 48 windmills. But with the new technology or the height, it's down to,
See, now we're talking about the specific project, and I thought we weren't supposed to do that. We're saying that we don't want to hear from community members about the specific project because we're talking about our wind ordinance and the entire town. Right?
no, I don't. We change ordinances on different stuff all the time.
I'm sorry, can you,
We change,
the phone closer to Lynn, sorry.
we change ordinance on different stuff all the time.
How often, Lynn? How often are we changing our actual ordinances? Because I'm pretty sure that Lance shared that it was many years, but we don't do this. We don't change our local laws often. We can do, where a special use permit or a variance, but it isn't often unless we're adding something like the solar where we're adding that.
And I agree with you. I agree with you, Carrie, that we don't do anything with our laws or review our laws as often as we should. And that's something like maybe every 5 years that we as a town board or the town board should review our laws that we have in effect and see if we need to update them or definitely improve them, just based on things that have occurred since 5 years previously, or maybe it's a law that was written 20 years ago and definitely should be readdressed. And just taking a look at it. So I agree with you. We don't do it that often. In fact, we never do it. But it should be done. And we did put the solar law into effect. Right now, they are busy. The planning board is busy and coming up with an addendum to that or a separate law insofar as energy storage units. We just gave them another 6-month moratorium so that they can continue working on that. And I'm sure that we need to take a look at that solar law because as we approach a couple of solar projects in this town, we're noticing a couple of things that maybe we need to or we should modify in our solar law. It was brand new, just like the wind law was brand new in 08, but we waited. Here's our solar law. We got a couple projects coming up, and in talking with other communities, there are some things that should be modified or changed completely in our present solar law that's just a year old. So why wait till the last minute? We shouldn't. I agree with you. We should start taking a look at some of our laws and start addressing them. It's just coincidental here because yes, there is a company that's very interested in bringing wind turbines in here.
It's
But we're not modifying our wind law to meet.
Them requesting for us to review our wind ordinance, and when they submit a document from their attorney saying that we disagree or that we can't do this or we can't do that, that is taken as gospel, like that's taken as valid and main points. With more weight than a lot lot of other documents that should be considered.
I've got a question, because I did get a comment on my text messages here from a resident wanting to know about, I received this special delivery today, I don't know, around about 1 o'clock today, from the law office of Gary Abraham. Now, it's addressed to myself and all 4 council people. On the last page, it says via email and to me by USPS. Did you receive a copy of this from Abraham? That's why I did not. I scanned it in, but I did not send it out to anybody because I didn't know if you received it by email. And like I said, I received this about 1 o'clock this afternoon, so I have not had a chance to look this over. So the person that had texted me about that, it's a little hard to address something when I haven't had a chance to go through it. And as you that are sitting here can see, it's quite a thick document. Carrie, do you know if you got anything from his office?
Yeah, so I received on December 31st at 3:08. I will be honest, I just sat down today and read through it in entirety along with what Lee had sent out. And I am looking at it right now, and I do see that it was emailed to you at the same time, spoke@townofberryny.com. And also to Tom and myself and Margaret and to Maureen. So I didn't forward it to you because I assumed that you had received it because it was addressed to you and had your email address in there. But I will forward you. the
Double check on
electronic-
my email because I'm looking at my emails right now. I received
Not
nothing.
getting it?
Nope.
Right,
Sometimes they forget to put that NY in there in my
right, and
email.
that's what I was thinking just now, but let me just see.
Because I did not get an email, but I did get an official hard copy today.
Yep, it's because it's, Barry is Barry instead of E.
Ah,
So it was, yeah, so I just forwarded it to you though.
I just got that, you forwarded this down, Charlotte.
this?
Yeah.
I didn't forward it, no.
Okay, I got one that just came in from me.
Okay, I just got what you sent me, Carrie.
Okay.
Yes. That's
When did-
what,
sorry, I
what's
couldn't
this
hear
right
what Tom
here?
said.
I said I just got that email to me, and it looks like it came from,
I just did.
Kathy Spencer.
I didn't get an email from Kathy.
It's probably the same one that you're talking about right now.
This one wasn't sent to Kathy.
Well,
This one was sent to, this one, I can see it was just sent to Sean, Tom McCabe, 84@gmail, myself, TOBKRichardson@gmail, TOBMSwan@gmail, and mbeach@townofberryny.com.
okay, when was I supposed to have gotten that?
December 31st at 3:08 is when it arrived in my mailbox, my email mailbox. I can forward it to you too.
Okay, was this in bold print,
In what?
large print?
Yeah, it's a larger print, yep.
Okay, I
It
got
says
it.
very proposed wind law.
Okay, I got it here from. Says December 31st at 3:08 PM.
Yep.
4 days ago, so we just found it in here now. So I can't say I haven't read it because I haven't.
Yeah, and then like I said, I haven't had a chance. I got this and I was trying to get other things ready for tonight's meeting and plus a couple of other things came across my desk. So I did not have a chance to look this over for tonight's meeting at all. Does not mean that I won't though. The highlight sections, local wind law, according to the seeker, for us to send this to the county, we only need part 1. Part 2s and 3.
I think maybe read what he's saying. He's saying that that's
then our county isn't, that's what they've usually looked for all the times in the past. He also says that they believe the three-part seeker is insufficient by itself to support a significant determination. Then why does the state even request one or require one if it's not significant determination that you get from it? Next part having to do whether or not I am, should not be involved with this. I'm sorry, but I said from day one.
Sean, maybe we should just actually like take the time to read through it and not just respond to it without. I don't think it's fair to be like making comments and being recorded on comments and stuff without like this. This is a pretty detailed with a lot of footnotes and references. And
Yeah.
I just think that maybe we should just like take time to read through it before addressing it.
That might be a good idea. It's quite lengthy, So we can, that'll be on the agenda for our board meeting on the 13th.
Right. I mean, I think that it's got a lot of interesting information in it, but I think that it's just, I had to read it through a couple of times, and I think it's a lot. It's good, but it's a lot. And yeah, maybe not just trying to read it and comment immediately.
Good idea. Okay, so getting back to the whole purpose of this evening,
Yeah,
which had to do with, in looking over all the documents and everything pertaining to the requested sections and the wind law proposed changes. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 bullets I have here. And as Tom had pointed out before, we have, in many cases, have gone above and beyond what the state has suggested.
Can I ask a question? Because this has come up a few times, and that people say that one of the reasons that we're doing this is because of to align it with the comprehensive plan. But I've reviewed the comprehensive plan, and I'm finding the only reference that I see to the comprehensive plan in regards to the wind ordinance is that is something that we need to get a feel of how like the community feels about it, to do a survey or something that would give a clear indication of whether this is something that the community wants or didn't want.
Well,
But I don't.
as you know, there's been about at least 2, if not 3, surveys have been done on this.
So the survey that was done by the town did not have a clear majority, and was not showed. I think it was 44% in favor, 39% opposed, and the rest undecided. And it wasn't a good turnout. And then everything else has been very much all of the other results, which were not done by the town, but they have been very much significantly more opposed than for it. And
once again, it was not a clear majority either.
It was. Both of the other surveys that were done were over 50% opposed.
When you say majority, I would assume you mean the majority of those that have the ability to vote in this town. I don't mean 5-year-olds. I'm talking about people of voting age and above.
I'm sorry, who are you saying are 5-year-olds? The one survey went.
No. You're taking me out of context there. I just used that extraneously. What I was referring to is when you say the majority, I'm talking about the majority of the legal voters of this town.
Are you saying that the election was indicative of the feelings of the town in regards to Winter Run
No, I'm
specifically?
talking
That's not
about
Winter
the
Run that meeting
surveys,
specifically?
Carrie.
Who did those surveys?
Is that what you're saying?
No, Carrie, you've got me, no.
Okay, well, I guess, can you clarify that what, are you referencing a specific survey that was done?
No,
Who did those, the surveys you're talking about, who did those?
The one, the 44% and the 39%?
Whatever,
No.
huh?
That one?
Yeah, any of them,
Okay, so the town did a survey
yes,
where 44% of the town were in favor, 39% were opposed,
okay,
and the rest were undecided.
okay.
And there were, I can pull up, let me see if I can pull up those, the specifics of that. Actually, just give me just a second, because I want to get this right.
Who did the other surveys?
George
Okay.
did one.
So the town survey, in regards to the Heritage Wind project, now this was specific to the Heritage Wind project. There were 290 individuals surveys that were accepted. So out of our 2,000 resident town, 290 surveys accepted. 44% were supportive, 39% were opposed, 8% were neutral, and 7% needed more information.
Okay,
Then the next survey was completed by Citizens for a Better Berry, and it wasn't a survey, it was a postcard canvas. They had a total of 538 responses, and they had 25 of those responses, which is 5%, were supportive. 425 were opposed, that's 79% opposed, and 14 were not sure, which is 3%. Number refusing to comment, there were 29, that was 5%, and the number who moved were 41, and that was 8%. The canvas did not include town board members or individuals who have leases. And then the survey that was sent out to the homes by Dr. George and Iva McKenna, they were sent to households, so this was a response by households. There were 35% response rate of the cards that were sent out, which is higher than the response rate that the town got.
How many did they receive total?
What?
How many did they receive back total?
Hold on, I don't have that on this document. Let me see if I can pull up what they gave to all of us. Public comments, wind ordinance. Let's see here, they said.
what are we here
Okay.
to do tonight?
They received 258 households responded. So
258?
there's 730 households that were sent out and 258 responded.
Okay.
And 70% opposed to the project completely, 86 opposed if wind ordinance were changed. So what we're talking about right now, 86% of the people who responded said that they don't want any changes to the wind ordinance. And 30% of the town would consider with specific obligations being met. And then 9% were in favor of the project and changes to the wind ordinance no matter what.
Okay.
Jerry, I got a question on the second one that you reported on.
Okay?
You said that landowners or lease people weren't surveyed in that?
So that, my understanding, I was not involved in that. Well, let me see here. I'm seeing if I have like the specifics, I think, for that. Maybe. But that one, yeah, so I had an asterisk there that said that the canvas did not include town board members or individuals who have leases. And if you're interested in looking, there is a list, so you could count the number of leaseholders who, you know, you could assume, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, they,
Well, Carrie, my question is, you're taking results of that and you haven't included everybody on it.
right, well, I mean,
So
if
how
you,
can- how
like,
can
even,
you use, how can
Tom,
you
even if
actually
you went
use that?
ahead and added, so how many, do you know how many leaseholders are Town of Berry residents or voters?
I don't know, offhand, no.
So even if we said, let's see here, they had,
It should have been sent out to everybody. You can't come back and say.
no.
all
So
those
this was
people are
this
against it.
this wasn't a survey, this was a canvas.
Well,
you still
And
got
they
the
went
canvas.
to homes, and they didn't go to town board members, and they didn't go, because leaseholders are financially, like, they're financially supportive of the project. Even if you said that there were 100 or even 200, even 200 leaseholders, okay, that reside in the town of Berry, which I'm pretty confident that there's not. But even if you said that there were 200 leaseholders that reside in the town of Berry, you would still not have 50% of the of what was submitted, of what they did for the campus.
But the thing is, on their results, you're only surveying the people that have nothing to do with it, and everybody else, if you're gonna do a survey
But
and have any
but-
valid to it, validity, you're gonna have to survey or send it to everybody, and you can't
So-
just pick and choose who you want to do it with.
So the survey that was done by George and Ivan McKenna was sent out to every single home in the town of Berry, and there was 70% opposed the project completely, 86% opposed if the wind ordinance changed. That was sent out to everyone. And if, you know, like, we can discuss this if we want to really get at what a lot of the comments from the public hearing and even in our own comprehensive plan is saying, put it on the ballot. Or have a special election, not a special election, I'm sorry, but have a vote. Allow the town to say what their thoughts are on this.
Well, I think they had a chance, you said they didn't, you sent out 700 and only 200 came back.
But okay, so
So you,
then
how
what
can you
would
figure?
be enough time? Like, what are you saying that if we sent, if, you know, even the one that the town did, the town only 290, so what, like, I'm asking from you, what are you saying is supportive? What is your information as to why the town, like, where are your numbers for why we should be changing our wind ordinance because the town wants this?
Well, we can't use
Where
your
do we
survey.
have a majority saying that the majority of our town wants this?
Okay, we've listened to a lot of different things here. The purpose of this is to take a look at the components of the proposed wind law changes. We have a list of them. We have received a list. And the different sections. Are there anything, based on what I have read through here, I don't see any need for changing anything that we are proposing whatsoever. So I
What
would
about the
take it and,
questions that are being asked, because we were told that it was shared that any questions would be responded to.
yeah, well, that's one thing that we're gonna have to do. You've got a list of them now, right?
So yeah, I have a list of what I have.
You
the 40
have a
pages
whole
that was sent
pile.
today, and I have the earlier this afternoon, and I have what was sent during the meeting from the YouTube ones.
Okay. So that's what we're gonna have to take a look at and do the responses like we said. We have them all electronically. They're ready to go on back out onto our website. Like this bundle of cards that I got from some residents of the town. We're gonna have to do some responses to all of these letters, one at a time. and send them back out. If we've got their email addresses, we can, but more likely, the best way would be to put them on our website. So, giving myself some more homework here. I can do an initial response and send them out to you folks so that you can take a look at them. And if there's some that we should change or modify whatsoever, then we can do so. If you've got some you want to address right now, you can do so. That'll help save me some time. But yes, we did say that we would respond to every one of these. All these comments that we have received, we have them electronically, and they will be put on our website for everybody to look at. I mean, I'm looking at one right here from the public hearing. I mean, how do you respond? I oppose the wind turbine project in Barre, New York.
Just thank you for your comment.
Thank you. That's it.
Like, but then there's specific ones. So if you go down farther, there's other ones, there's some that are pretty straightforward, but then, when is PPE equipment needed to be worn to repair wind turbines that are proposed to be installed? Even if we said 700 foot, even if we reach out to any company that has 700 foot or thereabout industrial wind turbines and said, what is your PPE requirements? Can you send us your protocols for your team members? There is questions as far as, according to the proposed changes, you are increasing the height limit by 40%, but the setback distance is not also increased by 40%. Why? There are questions in here that are going to take.
But they are increased. When we say it's 1.5 times the tip height or 2 times the tip height, as they get bigger, the setback increases because of 1.5 or 2 times the tip height. So there is an increase.
So, but is the setback increased by 40% too?
If the wind tower is 500 feet and the setback is 2 times the tip height, that's 1,000 feet. Those are just examples.
Right. And if you do 700 feet and 1,400 feet, and then if you divide, like, the percentage is different, is what I'm saying. But that's fine. Like, so yeah, but we still are going to need to just go through and respond to these.
Yes. Okay.
Someone asked, it would be helpful to see all the pros and cons listed side by side, along with supportive scientific and physical evidence that comes from several sources, and not just the wind company, which has a vested interest.
That's several years of work that I did just looking at the pros and cons itself. That would be a difficult one to supply all that information.
I think that we can pertain it specifically to the changes that we're proposing to make to the wind ordinance.
All right. Okay, so, but at this time, our proposed changes that we have on the wind law, has anybody seen anything that we need to change at this time?
I got a couple things I want to research.
Okay.
And I have,
we are gonna bring
I don't
this
know
up
if
at
you
our
guys
board
got
meeting on the
email.
13th.
I did just send it out this evening. I just got a response. But Tom, I had mentioned at a previous, I don't remember if it was a workshop or like maybe even the November meeting, we had talked about, I had called Byron, who is the director of the turbine that's down in Texas, that is currently the tallest turbine in the nation. And I had spoke with him, and on the phone after, because I was actually calling about PPE stuff, but he said he didn't really have that. But I asked him if he had any other recommendations as far as setbacks. I said we are working on our wind ordinance, anything that you feel would be important for us to include. And his response to that email was, as I mentioned this is a quote, and I have forwarded this to you. As I mentioned in our phone conversation, the noisiest time for the turbines is when the wind speed is above the rated wind speed, usually above 11 meters per second. During these high winds, the blades are pitched to control power and a portion of the blade stalls. The stalled part of the blades generate noise that propagates mostly downwind of the turbines. For this reason, I recommend a large setback of at least half a mile downwind prevailing wind from the turbines. I hope this answers your question. And he is the director of UL Advanced Wind Turbine Test Facility at WTAMU, West Texas A&M University. And his contact information is on there if any of you guys would like to reach out to him.
I appreciate all that information, and I have researched them prior to over a year ago because they have the largest land-based wind turbine in the country.
Right,
And
and he
as-
is saying, and he is, obviously someone who is like, that's his livelihood, and he's saying that specifically downwind, prevailing wind, there needs to be a half-mile setback.
Does he have documentation on all of this? I want to see it in writing.
That's-
Remember what I've said
that's
all
what
along,
That's what
I
I'm saying.
want to
I'm
see
emailing it to
research
you.
based.
I don't know where he, what his, where he's getting, other than just from firsthand life experience as being the director and probably dealing with complaints and, and that's only with one turbine. But I think that that's something that, if he as the director is saying that, and that's something that we should take to
That
heart.
could come down to the manufacturer, the type of wind turbine it is, the type of blades that were designed that are on it. It could come down to a lot of things, and he only has one turbine that he's
You're asking those
comparing to.
specifics, but
and
we're
not a
including
whole
those
group of
specifics in
them
our wind
either.
ordinance, Right?
I don't know, I was talking and you just started in, so I don't know what you were saying, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. You were asking for the specifics
I was,
of like the manufacturer and the make model, the tip height
and
and,
it seems to me he has,
all
their
that
wind
stuff.
turbine is a GE, is it not?
hold on, I can look it up. But I don't necessarily think that that's pertinent when we're talking about our wind ordinance. We're saying a 700-foot
Then
height.
why,
And-
you're only going by its height then, you're not going by the type of the manufacturer.
But
I mean,
that's
we've
what I'm
all had a
saying.
lemon car one
John,
time or
that's what I'm
another
saying,
too.
Is that I just called and asked him because that's I didn't look at what the manufacturer was. I was just looking at what's the tallest in the US right now. And West Texas A&M has the tallest in the US right now. So that's why I reached out to them and why I contacted them directly. And this is what his response was for that turbine. Now, yes.
For that
may be
turbine,
different
exactly.
Than what's being proposed for the project, but we're not talking about the project that's being proposed. We're talking about our wind ordinance that we're talking about allowing 700 feet, which is even taller than what he's saying. And he's saying that for that industrial wind turbine, he is recommending a half-mile setback.
Okay,
And what we're looking at would be taller than that. So that's right.
How tall is that turbine?
Pertinent to,
how
Yeah,
tall is
to
that
the-
turbine, Carrie?
go ahead.
How tall is that turbine you were talking about in Texas?
Hold on here. It's, that one is 110, let's see here. Hold on here. Trying to see what this one is. A hub height of 130 meters.
That's hub height, tip height I'm looking at.
I know, I'm working on it. Give me a second. Let's see here. Okay, it's 653.5 feet tip height. 653.5 feet above West Texas Plains.
So it's about 25 feet shorter than what they're talking about here.
Well, it's about 50 feet shorter than what our wind ordinance is.
Yeah, okay. Our proposed wind ordinance,
Right,
which we're saying 700 feet.
right.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Folks, getting to the extent of the time of the evening it is. And you've got those, we have to do responses on these, which I'm not gonna have you sitting here while we go through these one at a time. If you want to take a look at some of them that you feel that you want to comment on, please send that to me. I would greatly appreciate it. Meanwhile, I'm going to take them and start doing some responses myself.
Can I bring up one other one that I think is interesting, that I think has a visual, and I was just curious if you guys looked at it and what your thoughts are.
Go ahead.
So the one that let's see, it was done by Cindy and Scott Burnside, and they included they included a map saying, like, for example, if you have a 400-foot wide lot with a home located on one half of the lot, you could not sell the other half for another residence because the turbine may be too close to the proposed home. However, pushing the turbine off of the lot line would ensure the divided property could have a dwelling built on it. And they have an illustration below showing how that could hinder, could change an allowing or not allowing a proposed home on a subdivided property.
Okay. I remember reading that one over. I'll take another look at that. Well, obviously, I'll have to take another look at it.
Quite a ways down.
Yeah. It was one of the later ones that I had received, I do believe. Okay. Then, as I said, then for our board meeting for next Wednesday, we've got this letter from the attorney Abraham that we'll discuss at that time. We also have the proposed wind law changes, and we'll take a look at them insofar as sending them off to the county, see what the county has to say. Because nothing's in stone yet. We'll see what the county has to say as well. And then we're not doing a vote on it other than sending it to county. And we proceed from there, okay?
I would just, if, before we talk about sending to county, if we can just talk about that half-mile setback recommendation and anything else that, like, specifically that people pull from as we go through, like this one, I think, too, and talking about setting back the property line rather than from existing residences, structures.
Well, that's just one of many.
Okay.
Okay, we did digress. We went off a little bit, but we got to talk about it. That's what counts. Okay. Then we're all set then, and I would say that this workshop is over with then.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Tom, for letting me use your phone.
You bet.
Okay,
Have a good night, guys.
yep, you too, Carrie.
Bye.
Bye.
Is that phone off now?
Is that phone off over there?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, turn that off, turn those mics off for me, please. Hello? Oh, okay.